The Nakajima Ki-84 Hayate was a single-seat fighter used by the Imperial Japanese Army Air Service in World War II. The Allied reporting name was Frank. The Japanese Army designation was Army Type 4 fighter. Featuring excellent performance and high maneuverability, the Ki-84 was considered to be the best Japanese fighter to see large-scale operations during World War II. It was able to match any Allied fighter, and to intercept the high-flying B-29 Superfortresses. Its powerful armament increased its lethality. Though hampered by poor production quality in later models, a high-maintenance engine, landing gear prone to buckle, inconsistent fuel quality, and a lack of experienced pilots above all else, Hayates proved to be fearsome opponents. A total of 3,514 were built. The Ki-84 was the fastest fighter in the Imperial Japanese military if good fuel was used and the aircraft was in good shape. Design and development. Design of the Ki-84 commenced in early 1942 to meet an Imperial Japanese Army Air Service requirement for a replacement to Nakajima's own, earlier Ki-43 Oscar fighter, then just entering service. The specification recognized the need to combine the maneuverability of the Ki-43 with performance to match the best Western fighters and heavy firepower. The Ki-84 first flew in March 1943. Deliveries from Nakajima's Ota factory commenced in April 1943. Although the design itself was solid, the shortage of fuel and construction materials, poor production quality, and lack of skilled pilots prevented the fighter from reaching its potential. The Ki-84 addressed the most common complaints about the popular and highly maneuverable Ki-43, insufficient firepower, poor defensive armor, and lack of climbing speed. The Ki-84 was a cantilever low-wing monoplane of all-metal construction, except for the fabric-covered control surfaces. It had retractable tailwheel landing gear. Armament comprised two fuselage-mounted, synchronized 12.7 mm machine guns. A potentially difficult challenge to synchronize properly, due to the Hayate's four-blade propeller. And two wing-mounted 20 mm cannon, a considerable improvement over the two 12.7 mm machine guns used in the Hayabusa. Defensive armor offered Hayate pilots better protection than the unsealed wing tanks and light alloy airframe of the Ki-43. In addition, the Ki-84 used a 65 mm armor glass canopy, 13 mm of head and back armor, and multiple bulkheads in the fuselage, which protected both the methanol water tank and the centrally located fuel tank. It was the Nakajima firm's own design 35.8-liter displacement, half 45 Homer air-cooled 18-cylinder radial engine, first accepted for military use in 1941, that gave the Hayate its high speed and prowess in combat. Derived from the Nakajima Homer engines common to many Japanese aircraft, the Hayate used the Homer 21 direct injection version of the engine, using water injection to aid the supercharger and giving the Ki-84 a rated 1,491 kilowatts at takeoff. This combination theoretically gave it a climb rate and top speed roughly competitive with the top Allied fighters. Initial Hayate testing at Takakawa in early summer 1943 saw test pilot Lieutenant Funabashi reach a maximum level airspeed of 624 km per hour in the second prototype. After the war, a captured late production example was tested in the US and achieved a speed of 680 km per hour using 92-octane AV gas, plus methanol injection. The complicated direct injection engine, partly from its already basically compact design, required a great deal of care in construction and maintenance and, as the Allies advanced toward the Japanese homeland, it became increasingly difficult to support the type's design performance. Compounding reliability problems were the Allied submarine blockade, which prevented delivery of crucial components, such as the landing gear. Many further landing gear units were compromised by the poor quality heat treatment of late-war Japanese steel. Many Hayates consequently suffered strut collapses on landing. Further damage was caused by inadequately trained late-war pilots, who sometimes found it difficult to transition to the relatively hot Ki-84 from the comparatively docile Ki-43 Hayabusa, which had a significantly lower landing speed. Operational service. The first major operational involvement was during the Battle of Leyte at the end of 1944, and from that moment until the end of the Pacific War the Ki-84 was deployed wherever the action was intense. The 22nd Sentai re-equipped with production Hayates. Though it lacked sufficient high-altitude performance, it performed well at medium and low levels. Seeing action against the USAAF 14th Air Force, it quickly gained a reputation as a fighter to be reckoned with. Fighter-bomber models also entered service. On April 15, 1945, 11 Hayates attacked U.S. airfields on Okinawa, destroying many aircraft on the ground. The IJAAF's Ki-84, Kawasaki Heavy Industries Ki-100, and the Kawanishi Aircraft Company's N-1K2JIJNAF naval fighter were the three Japanese fighters best suited to combat the newer Allied fighters. Camouflage and markings equals. The Ki-84 is known to have appeared in 3 Japanese Ministry of Munitions sanctioned camouflage schemes. Type N, the entire airframe was left in its original natural metal. Because of the different grades of alloy used for various panels, the overall finish soon weathered or oxidized to a pale metallic gray, with variations in shade and texture, depending on the grade of duralumin used for each area of skin. A black anti-glare panel was painted on the top forward fuselage and engine cowling. Type B, irregular blotches or stripes of dark green on the basic natural metal scheme. This was applied once the aircraft reached its operational base. On occasion the edges of national and Sentai markings were accidentally covered. Type S, 3 variations were seen on Ki-84s. S1 a Euro dark green upper surfaces, with light grey-green lower surfaces. S2 a Euro the light grey-green on the lower surfaces was replaced by a pale blue-grey. These colours were often applied on an unprimed airframe. Because of this and the poor adhesion of Japanese paints in the later years of the war this scheme often weathered quickly, with large patches of natural metal being visible. S10 a Euro the upper surfaces were left in a red-brown primer with the under surfaces in natural metal. The black anti-glare panel was optional. Other schemes were applied, particularly by the Shinbutai special attack units. For example, a Ki-84 of 57 Shinbutai, flown by Corporal Takano, had very dark brown-green upper surfaces, with a large red arrow outlined in white painted along the entire length of the fuselage and engine cowling. White kana characters Hitchin were painted above the arrow on the rear fuselage. The undersurfaces were light gray. Factory-applied markings included 6 Inomura, outlined with a 75 mm white border on camouflaged aircraft, on either side of the rear fuselage and on the upper and lower outer wings. Yellow-orange identification strips were applied to the leading edges of wings, extending from the roots to A of the wingspan. Variants: Ki-84A, prototype. Ki-84B, evaluation model. Ki-84C, pre-production model. Ki-84I Co, armed with two 12.7 mm Ho-103 machine guns, and two 20 mm Ho-5 cannon and wings. Ki-84I Otsu, armed with four 20 mm Ho-5 cannon. Limited production run, may not have equipped a full Sentai. Ki-84I Air, armed with two 20 mm Ho-5 cannon and two 30 mm Ho-155 cannon and wings. Ki-84I TE, night fighter variant of Ki-84 Otsu. Equipped with an additional Ho-5 20 mm cannon placed at 45-degree angle behind the cockpit in Shrikkurrency GE music configuration. Rare variant, 2 built. Ki-84I Co, Manchu type, manufactured in Manchukuo for Manshikoku Hikoki Seizo KK by Nakajima license. Ki-84-2, similar to the models above. Ki-84N, first high-altitude interceptor variant of the Ki-84, with a 2500 horsepower Nakajima Ha-219, air-cooled radial engine and with wing area increased to 249.19 square feet. The Ki-84N production model was assigned to the Kitai Ki-117, both aircraft did not left design stage until the wars ended. Ki-84P, second high-altitude interceptor variant of the Ki-84, with a 2,500 horsepower Nakajima Ha219, air-cooled radial engine and with wing area increased to 263.4 square feet. Cancelled in favor, for further development of Ki-84R, proving to be a less ambiguous project. Ki-84R, third high-altitude interceptor variant of the Ki-84, with a 2,000 horsepower Nakajima Ha-45-23, with a mechanically driven two-stage 3-speed supercharger. Prototype, 80% completed at war's end. Ki-106, prototype, constructed entirely out of wood. 3 built. Ki-113, based on the Ki-84 Otsu, with certain steel components on different areas of the aircraft. The project was an attempt to sustain light alloys, which were becoming very scarce later in the war. It employed steel sheet skinning and the cockpit section, ribs, and bulkheads were made of carbon steel. Ki-116, evaluation model, equipped with a Mitsubishi Ha-112-2, 1,120 kilowatts 1 built. Ki-117, production designation of the Ki-84N. Operators, wartime, Japan, Imperial Japanese Army Air Service, post-war, People's Republic of China, People's Liberation Army Air Force operated captured aircraft from 1945 until the 1950s. China, Chinese Nationalist Air Force held some Ki-84 in reserve in case American aid was cut. Indonesia, Indonesian Air Force, in 1945, Indonesian People's Security Force captured a small number of aircraft at numerous Japanese air bases, including Bugis Air Base in Malang. Most aircraft were destroyed in military conflicts between the Netherlands and the newly proclaimed Republic of Indonesia during the Indonesian National Revolution of 1945–1949. Survivors. After the war, a number of aircraft were tested by the Allied forces, 2 at the Allied Technical Air Intelligence Unit, Southwest Pacific Area as S-10 and S-17, and a further 2 in the United States as FE-301 and FE-302. One, which was captured at Clark Field during 1945, was transported aboard the USS Long Island to the United States. In 1952 it was sold off as surplus to Edward Maloney, owner of the Ontario Air Museum, and restored to flying condition before being returned to Japan for display at the Arashiyama Museum in Kyoto. The aircraft is now displayed at Tokugawa Kinnan Museum, Kagoshima Prefecture. It is the only surviving Ki-84. Gallery Specifications. Data from report on Frank 1, general characteristics, crew, 1, length, 9.92 meters, wingspan, 11.238 m, height, 3.385 m, wing area, 21 mass squared, empty weight, 2,660 kilograms, loaded weight, 3,601.5 kilograms, max takeoff weight, 4,170 kilograms, power plant, 1 Nakajima Ha-45-21 Homer 18-cylinder radial engine, 1,522 kilowatts at SL, 1,360 kilowatts at 17,900 feet, performance, never exceeds speed. 800 kilometers per hour, maximum speed, 686 km per hour at 7,020 m, range, 2,168 km, service ceiling, 11,826.24 m, rate of climb, 21.84 meters per second at SL, 18.29 meters per second at 30-50 meters, wing loading, 171.47 kilograms mass squared, power mass, 1.8 kilograms per horsepower. Armament, 2 12.7 mm Ho-103 machine guns in nose. 350 rounds gun, 2 20 mm Ho-5 cannon in wings, 150 shells cannon, 2 100 kg bombs, 2 250 kg bombs, 2 200 L drop tanks. See also, related development, Nakajima Ki-43, Nakajima Ki-44. Nakajima Ki-116, aircraft of comparable role, configuration and era, Focke-Wulf FW-190, Kornishi N-1K, Kawasaki Ki-100, Lavochkin La-7, Mitsubishi J2M, North American P-51 Mustang, Republic P-47 Thunderbolt. Related lists: List of aircraft of World War II, List of aircraft of Japan, World War II. References, Notes. Bibliography. External links: Song of Hayate Fighter Squadron, Nippon News, number 254 and the official website of NHK.